Abnormal Andy, and Phantom Dark Dave. The Screaming Skull Podcast.
Welcome back to the Screaming Skull Podcast, a place where horror fans can call home. I'm Phantom Dark Dave, and I'm here with Abnormal Andy. What's up, Andy?
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Oh, not a lot, man. Just hanging out and watching the weather go from bad to worse. We're like 59 degrees, and I would not complain about that, but we're also about to have about 15 hours of rain, so I'm not too thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hate the rain. How about you?
Dang. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'd rather have that than, like, ice and snow, but it's interesting. You're at 59. We're actually at 55 today, I think, so we're real close in temperature, which I was surprised.
Yeah, that seems like an all-time high for you this time of year.
Yeah, it gets pretty cold up here, but yeah, we're kind of enjoying a little bit of warmer weather here, so that's nice.
That's awesome, man. And I know some people are like, oh, rain's awesome because it helps me sleep. Yes, rain is awesome when you sleep. And then people are like, oh, rain is awesome because you can watch horror movies inside. Yes, that's true. But when you work, and half the time you work outside, it fucking sucks. And so I'm a hater when it comes to the rain. But yeah, man, if I can just be on vacation every time it rains, that's cool. I'll take that.
Yeah. What kind of jobs can you take a vacation when it rains?
Construction maybe, but if you're paid by the job, that I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
I don't do construction though. You don't trust me to build shit. I can put together a computer desk. Is it level? Yes. Is the floor? No. But
Yep.
no, man, let's catch up a little bit. You know, last time we brought our first guest on, we had Brian from Terrible Terror Podcast, and we did a top 5 list, and it was a lot of fun because we got to talk about our favorite final girls in horror, and I got some pretty good feedback from that. Like one of our buddies, Renee, hit me up, and we even gave him a shout out on there, and I told you he was going to be really happy to hear that Samara Weaving had made it, even though she wasn't your list, she was Brian's number 1, but yeah, he hit me up, and he's just like, I'm so glad somebody brought her up.
Yeah, man, it was such a fun episode, and we had a lot of different final girls that we talked about during that episode, so there wasn't a lot of crossover, which was really cool.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I was not really worried about, but I was just kind of hopeful that there'd be enough diversity in there between the insane amount of final girls that there actually are. Like, everybody thinks of, like, the same core, let's say, 10, but then when you're prepping for the podcast and you're like, well, who else is there? You open up this barnyard door of all these other people, and then you have to compile your list together. And I thought at some point we're either going to have a whole bunch of the same or some ones that nobody's ever heard of and they're not going to enjoy the episode. But it felt like it was a pretty healthy blend.
Yeah, for sure. We had new stuff, old stuff, kind of stuff that was out there, some of the stuff you'd expect. So
Question for you.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to do like final guys or final boys? I don't even know what the right term is. Ed gave me shit when I was telling him. I was just like, yeah, we need to do final boys. He's like, is that even a thing? And I'm like, yes. And I had to research it, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. But, throughout looking at all the final girls, you find some where you're like, oh, it was a guy in this, and, could there be 5?
Yeah, that'd be a fun episode for sure.
You just can't call it 5 guys. You might get sued.
Yeah.
But, oh, yeah, outside the weather, anything else going on in your hood?
Man, no, not really.
No, just living the boring 9 to 5er.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I've been working so much lately that it's been, like, depressing me a little bit. It's like I get up early every day, go to work, but then things happen. It makes me work later than normal. And people are like, oh, you can make overtime. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but when you're too tired to experience the money, it sucks. So then I get home late. Then I have to contemplate if I have enough, I got to do the dinner thing, but is there enough time to watch a horror movie? And if you're anything like I am, I need my rotation of horror movies because that's what helps me, like, decompress. And, like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Shout out to everybody who does, but we all need that vice, whatever it is. And for me, it's watching horror movies, and when I don't get to do that, it makes me kind of flip out. And so it also puts us in positions to have to cancel and reschedule podcast episodes, and that's why these damn things only come out like every 2 to 3 weeks, is because our work schedules sometimes butt heads, doesn't it?
Yeah, we both have jobs that can be kind of unpredictable at times as far as, like, because, when we usually record, like, right after work. So if we don't get off on time, then that delays our podcast and stuff. So it's really cool to be able to get to do this again. Now we know it's been a while, but we're still around. We're still here.
Let's go ahead and talk about some horror news.
So I ran across a cool article, and this was earlier this month. So hopefully it's not super outdated, but I saw the headline and it caught my attention. It says deranged Vinegar Syndrome brings 1974 Ed Gein movie to 4K. And it says Vinegar Syndrome is bringing the 1974 horror film Deranged, inspired by the story of Ed Gein, to 4K later this month. So this is January 3rd. So hopefully I'm not saying something that's outdated. It says the Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the only Ed Gein-inspired horror film to be released in 1974. That year, we also saw the release of a movie called Deranged, which stuck closer to the details of the Gein case than Chainsaw did, but still took plenty of dramatic liberties, and exchanged the name of the lead character to Ezra Cobb. So Vinegar Syndrome has announced that they will be giving Deranged a 4K release later this month, and copies are available for pre-order at the link in the article. So the release is limited to 6,000 units. So that's a pretty limited release. That's kind of what they do sometimes with some of these older movies. The movie was directed by Jeff Gillen and Alan Ormsby from a screenplay written by Ormsby. So that's a name that rings some bells for us because we both love Bob Clark movies, and Alan Ormsby is a notable writer for some of his best movies, such as Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Yeah.
And, Deranged also has special effects by the legendary Tom Savini.
Whoa.
And, so that's kind of a cool little physical media release there.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever pre-ordered a horror movie?
I'm trying to think if I have or not.
I can say I have never done that before. Like, I've went to Best Buy and Walmart and Target, like, on a Tuesday, knowing the day it comes out, and bought it. But I have never pre-ordered a movie before.
I think I did, like, a few years ago. I think I pre-ordered something. Yeah. I don't remember what, it was so great, I don't remember what it was.
I will tell you, one time I went to the mall, and this was back in 2000, right off the coattails of 13 Ghosts when that remake came out, and I was all about that movie. I had saw it in theater, loved it to death, thought it was, the greatest thing, and I was like steadily waiting for it to come out, and I went inside of a store in the mall, and I forget the kind of store it was, but obviously they sold DVDs, but it wasn't one of the real big ones. Like, it wasn't a Sam Goody or anything, or it wasn't a Suncoast, but this store, like, I remember talking to the employee. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure he just illegally sold me a movie, because he was like, oh yeah, $25, I'll just give it to you. And I'm pretty sure he went to the back room and got it. So I was like, I don't think I had a receipt for that or anything. And in my head, I guess that movie wasn't ready to come out yet. But that's kind of like pre-ordering it, because I got to buy it before it was released. Legally.
Yeah, that was a cool guy. Yeah, he probably...
he probably pocketed that money.
Oh.
It was good doing business with you, Andy.
Yeah, so there's still over 2,000 left in stock of that movie. I just checked the website. It has a really cool slipcover. So, if you guys have seen that movie, I have, and I liked it. I thought it was cool. It's kind of a humorous movie too. Of course, with the writer, Alan Ormsby always kind of injects some humor into his scary movies. So, but yeah,
I actually have a burned DVD of it, but I've never watched it.
Okay.
Now I will. I didn't know Alan Ormsby was attached to it. See, that's another shitty thing, is if you ever went to that time in your life where you burned DVDs, or someone gave you a burned one, or you bought a burned, whatever the case is, man, you there's nothing to look at, so you don't know who's attached to it, who worked on it, or anything.
Yeah, you just have the name in Sharpie written on the disc or something.
As well as the rating and how long it is. Just the three most important factors.
All right.
Cool, man. I'm going to tell you about some stuff that's in theater. It's been a couple weeks since we recorded, so a little bit of this is backtrack, but it's pretty important because one of them is a real big one, Nosferatu. A lot of people went and saw it, and now it's available to stream at home. And, Nosferatu is one that we had anticipated for a really long time, came out Christmas Day. I know we probably talked about it before, but one thing I was paying close attention to was kind of the box office. and it had a $50 million budget, which is pretty big for horror. It's not the most unheard of, but it's still a lot of money. Especially because Andy and I will fucking watch a movie on a $10,000 budget in a heartbeat. But Nosferatu made over $166 million, man. So it seems like people are really liking that movie.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, it's actually it's getting pretty well received, I think, by most people. I don't know. I think it's one of those movies that you really like it or you really don't like it. But yeah, I have not seen it yet. I wanted to go to the theater to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but I was looking at the streaming. I think it's like $20 to stream, so I might wait until it goes down in price a little bit.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, wait till it goes down to like a $6 rental or something, or it may fall into a service that you already subscribe to. But yeah, for me, it's Robert Eggers is a very artistic type filmmaker, and like I really like The Witch. But I actually hadn't watched anything else he did, and so that's why I hadn't went and seen Nosferatu. I don't know, man. I guess I'm just not up on it like everybody else, but what are you going to do? That's new horror. I love the 1922 original, though. Yeah,
for sure. I need to rewatch that one. I'm actually listening to Bram Stoker's Dracula now, like the audiobook.
Oh, cool.
So after I'm done listening to that, I want to start watching I want to watch Nosferatu, and then I want to watch this new one.
I remember back in high school, somebody had loaned me a VHS of the German one with Klaus Kinski. I don't know if you'd ever seen that one, but no. I remember watching that one and liking that one as well.
So. Yeah, I have not seen that one yet, so I want to, yeah.
Another one that has already come and gone because it was a limited release is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. And so, as you know, the fairy tale horror movies are here whether we like them or not. And I actually enjoyed the Winnie the Pooh movies, but the Peter Pan movie didn't seem to reach as many people as the Winnie the Pooh movie did. And synopsis, Wendy Darling strikes out in an attempt to rescue her brother Michael from the clutches of the evil Peter Pan. Along the way, she meets Tinkerbell, who will be seen taking heroin and believing it's pixie dust. So, pretty extreme, but I don't know what the budget was, but it only brought in about $230,000, which was dramatically less than Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen any of those movies yet, so I need to dive into the Poohniverse.
Yes, you do. Or, if you ever get caught doing heroin, you can be like, I thought it was pixie dust.
There you go.
Another movie that I didn't even hear about. Did you hear of a movie called The Damned? It's a 19th century widow has to make an impossible choice when, during an especially cruel winter, much like Andy has experienced, a foreign ship sinks off the coast of her Icelandic fishing village.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I'm not really familiar with what it's about or anything, but it seems like it's getting some praise from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, definitely a period piece, which, definitely not the first kind of horror movie I gravitate to.
Yeah, same.
But when it's done really well, you can appreciate it for what it is. I looked at the people in it, and I didn't know anybody, and so I was like, maybe I'll just wait. And I was kind of excited because I'm like, okay, maybe this will be like an indie horror film, one that, can surprise me. But it made just a little over $1 million, which isn't very much also. And then the last one is a big one I was much anticipating, but I think I'm going to wait, was Wolfman. Have you heard anything about Wolfman?
Yeah, I've talked to a couple people that have seen it. They said it's good.
Okay.
Okay, so the special effects are good from what I heard. The characters are a little lackluster. So I think, I don't know, the one person I talked to about it, they said that they enjoyed it. It was entertaining, but it was just kind of there was something about the characters that were off, I guess, because so they built up a really good relationship between the father and daughter in this family, but not the mother. But then we're supposed to be kind of rooting for the mother through most of the movie, and we don't really know that much about her and stuff like that. So I think that was kind of one of the complaints that I heard about it, but I heard the special effects were really good.
Did you ever see The Invisible Man?
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, so, Lee Winnell is attached to both, directed both movies, and The Invisible Man, a lot of people really liked it. So with this one, I thought, of course, it's going to be good because of how successful The Invisible Man was. And I'm hearing the same things. I'm hearing that it's good, but it's also like it plays it so safe that it just is unimpressive, right? Like it's just okay. And so because I had heard those reviews, I decided not to go spend $30 going to see it in theater. But yeah, I mean, a $27 million budget, and it's brought in about $18 million. So it's still struggling to recoup.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Way to go,
good.
Blumhouse.
Oh, that's a Blumhouse. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're always a sucker for slasher movies, right?
Very much so.
There's a new movie coming out called Heart Eyes. Coming out February 7th. It looks like it's a Valentine's slasher. And it's also starring Mason Gooding, who we know from the Scream franchise. He's like the twin brother. Yeah. So, like, Randy's nephew? Yeah. And I'm kind of excited about this one. It looks kind of cool. It comes out this year. I'm not really sure what February 7th. I just said that, didn't I?
Yeah.
It looks like it's kind of a dark comedy slasher, but it's about the Heart Eyes Killer. It says for the past several years, the Heart Eyes Killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe. So it kind of sounds like My Bloody Valentine, like definitely inspired by that, I'm sure. Just looking at the cast, it's got, like I said, it's got Mason Gooding, it's got Devon Sawa from Final Destination, Jordana Brewster, can't remember what she's from.
Fast and Furious,
Okay.
Faculty.
Yeah.
Movies that start with an F.
Yeah. So that's the only people I really recognize. Directed by Josh Rubin, who he starred in Scare Me. He was Fred, and also Werewolves Within. I guess he was in that one or did something with that film.
That's one that I still never watched, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for. When you and I did our top 5 werewolf movies, that was on the list of things to watch. I just didn't get around to it. But every time I see it, like the thumbnail, I'm like, damn, I need to go revisit this.
Yeah, I've not seen any of those. So
apparently it's based on a video game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the new slasher movie. Yeah. So, you know how we love our physical media releases, or even love it when we find a new movie on streaming. Well, this article I ran across, the movie is called It Doesn't Get Any Better Than This. And the directors, they said they're never releasing this movie for home viewing. It's only going to be released in theater.
What?
And because of this, it's kind of created a cult following, because people have... Now it's like people have said, oh, we've got to see this because it's only going to be in the theater. Then it's not going to be on streaming. It's not going to be on physical media. And the directors are saying, like, it kind of started off as a joke, but while they were cutting the trailer for their movie, the directors are Nick Tody and Rachel Kempf. They had a little fun at the end of the clip. It says, like, it says, the producers of this film regret to inform me that it will not be released online. See it in theaters. And so it's a found footage horror movie. So it's actually kind of created a word of mouth interest in this micro budget movie, which led to sold out shows across the country without any promotional dollars. So that's kind of interesting.
Much like this podcast.
Yeah. So they're actually from Kirksville, Missouri. What?
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like north of Kansas City, but it's a husband and wife creative team, Kemp and Tody. They run a small publishing house for nonfiction about horror movies. It's called Die Die Books, and it's a production company for their creative work, Die Die Video. So they found some dilapidated duplex in 2021 and determined it was the perfect locale to quickly shoot their passion project that they've been trying to do for a long time. They've always been... So they kind of got into doing seances, like, with some of their friends. And so they kind of had this concept around a film about kind of like a couple named Nick and Rachel. They buy a rundown house in Kirksville, and things get weird, which only escalates once Rachel and her friend Christian have a seance in the house. So, of course, some of their inspiration is Blair Witch Project. Host, yeah. So they do have some other movies that they've made. They said they've been making movies for 15 years, and every single movie they've made, they've released for free on the internet. Nobody has paid any attention to any of them. He says nobody's cared about any of them. So I was like, well, this is something new. It's not like I haven't tried to get people interested. I just don't really have a very commercial sensibility, and I don't go about things in a very commercial way most of the time. So he says with this one, he's like, well, this is horror, so already there's more of a built-in audience for it, which is a problem that pretty much every movie I've ever made has had. So we know there's found footage fans especially, so we know we can connect with those people. But you realize that there's also a gimmick there, and it's a gimmick that can be exploited. The movie getting really big was never the goal, but when the movie started getting more attention, there were certain sea change moments for us. Okay, so basically they're saying that people haven't really cared about any of their movies from the past. They've been having trouble getting traction online, getting people to go out and watch their movies, and now all of a sudden they're saying they're not releasing it online, and now they got all this, like a flood of people coming to the theater. Yeah, it's mainly being released at Alamo Draft Houses, those brand of theaters. It was only screened in like 10 cities, so the screenings might have already happened. I'm not really sure, but I always love found footage, so the movie's called It Doesn't Get Any Better Than This, and maybe at some point it'll get out there online. Who knows?
Oh yeah, just because they're not going to put it online doesn't mean someone else won't.
Right. So yeah.
Have you seen any found footage movies in theater before?
So yes, I've seen The Blair Witch Project.
Oh, that's right.
I've seen Paranormal Activity.
Mm-hmm. The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
And I saw the third one in theater. I saw was it The Devil Inside? I think that's what it was called. I saw that one in the theater. It has the movie poster where the woman's like going like this with her lip, showing like the inside of her lip, and it has.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it says something scratched on her lips. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
I feel like there's other ones I've seen.
I know I saw a couple of the Paranormal Activities in theater. I think 5 for sure, maybe like 4 and 5. I know that I saw Quarantine in theater.
Okay.
And Cloverfield.
Yes. Me too.
I remember those, but I love a good found footage movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's so many out there, especially on Tubi or whatever streaming service you can always find.
Oh hell yeah, Tubi is the home for found footage. Well, actually, you were talking about there's a particular app, right, that only does found footage movies.
Yeah, it's called Found TV. I just downloaded it on my phone, and I think it's on my Roku too. So they have a nice selection of found footage. They have some ads, but it's funny, the ads are mostly for the other movies on the site. So
genius. Okay.
Yeah. So they do have like another ad here and there that's of some like business or whatever, but it's not too bad. I like it. I've only watched one found footage movie on there. It's called Frogman, I think it was called.
Oh wow! I just saw something about that the other day. Somebody was being interviewed about it, and I was like, I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool movie. So this is people are gonna probably start calling us the Screamcast or something because. We're already the Screaming Skull, but besides that, we were always talking about this new Scream movie coming out, and I just found a new update. I don't know how new it is because I've been collecting news stories for a little while now, but Joel McHale is going to be in the new Scream movie, and he's going to play Sydney's husband. Have you heard about this, Dave?
I have, and I have a confession that I'm so happy to make. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
I fucking hate Joel McHale.
Oh, man. Okay.
I hate him with a passion. I don't know who I want to punch in the face more, but it's probably Joel McHale.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if was he in that movie, Deliver Us from Evil? Was that him?
I know Eric Bana's in that movie, but I don't remember if Joel McHale was in it.
So the
thing with Joel McHale is he just comes off as a low-budget Ryan Reynolds, and it just annoys the shit out of me, and that's okay because I probably annoy the shit out of somebody else, and it's cool, we'll fight. But the thing about Joel McHale is he always fucking pops up everywhere, and I'm like, I'm tired of seeing this guy. And so I thought that the Scream 7 movie was safe, bro. There's going to be no Joel McHale in this movie. And then sure enough, not only is he in this movie, he's married to Sidney Prescott. I'm like, what the fuck happened to the dude that she was supposed to be married to, the detective from Part 3? I thought they were supposed to be married.
Right, that's what I was thinking too. So yeah, it's a little kind of a left turn for us. Although I will say, so I just looked up Deliverance from Evil, and it was Joel McHale. He was the partner guy that was kind of like, he actually played a serious role in that movie, so he wasn't really like a comedic in that movie, which I really liked him in that movie. But yeah, I haven't really seen him in anything else, but I've heard of him in other comedies.
You know what else I recently watched that he showed up in, and it pissed me off?
What's that?
It's a Wonderful Knife. He was in that, and I was
okay.
so irritated. I was like, oh, God, he's in this movie. But,
Okay.
yeah, man, I'm about to get my frustrations out on Joel McHale. If he ever shows up at a horror convention, I'm just going to walk up and be like, I just wanted you to know I don't like you. And then just walk away. And, he'll be like, okay, who was that guy? But yeah, oh man, it just gets me so irritated. He would always show up on like Masked Singer and stuff, which there was a time when I was watching Masked Singer, and he was like affiliated with Fox because he was on a new TV show, and so it's like, oh, our special guest Joel McHale, and oh man, you can hear me raging from the back room. No!
Yeah.
All right, I'm off my soapbox. I'm good. I'm just saying, if he turns out to be the killer in Scream 7, I'm gonna break something.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That would be kind of silly.
I married Sydney just to be Ghostface. Like, no.
So I just wanted to kind of give it a shout out to the Oscars this year because we actually have a few horror movies that have been nominated. So I was pretty excited for the 2025 Oscars. There is a Best Picture nomination for a horror film. The Substance, that starring Demi Moore, was nominated for Best Picture. So that's cool. But Nosferatu is also nominated for like Best Special Effects or something. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And like Best Set Design or something like that.
I can see that.
Alien Romulus actually got nominated for like special effects, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I think there have been other movies that have been nominated for special effects and things like that, like costume design and things like that, because that's really what stands out in a horror movie. I feel like is the special effects for the most part. But this year, Demi Moore has really shined in this role of the Substance. I haven't actually watched this movie yet. But it was nominated for Best Picture, and I think she's actually nominated for Best Actress too. She actually got a Golden Globe for Best Actress for The Substance, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, so that's all. I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to the Oscars this year because they're kind of giving a nod to horror movies, and in some ways, so that's kind of cool.
That is cool, man. And then there's always a blend for me when it comes to Oscars and Academy Awards and stuff like that, trying to tell them all apart. But you do remember when horror gets brought up, and the Alien franchise is no stranger to winning effects, because even like the first Alien movie knocked Star Trek the Motion Picture out of the running in 1979 for effects.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no, not my Douglas Trumbull. But that's really cool, man. And, I'm just like you. I have not watched The Substance either, although everybody around me has seen it. But I've listened to multiple podcasts on it, and it does seem like something I do need to watch. It has a very David Cronenberg vibe to it. And so if body horror is your cup of tea, it's probably something that you'll enjoy. And, I think knowing that Demi Moore has won an award for it probably makes me want to watch it more. Pun intended, more.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious. I love some of the body horror type stuff like Cronenberg, so I know it's probably not necessarily your thing, but I definitely want to check it out, see what it's all about.
I'm okay with it if the story's good, and knowing what I know of this, it definitely seems like a story to behold, and so I'll definitely check it out, especially if it pops up on anything that I can watch for free. But I want to tell you about some physical media releases. We talked about, movies in theater and everything, and I didn't write a lot of them down because at the end of the day, I could tell you about 25 different horror movies between formats of 4K, Blu-ray, Steelbook. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's some movies getting a VHS release. That shit always makes me happy. But looking at 4K, Blu-ray, Steelbook, the three that kind of stood out to me was the original Wolfman. So, good timing. You got the modern Wolfman in theater. Why not, put out the original on a new format for people to enjoy? And hopefully people will see the new one, and if they have never seen the original, they'll pick it up, because the original Universal Monster movies is where it's at. But I found this. I got 2 movies with hell in the title. You ready?
Go for it, yeah.
We got Drag Me to Hell and Motel Hell. Which one do you like better?
Motel Hell.
See, I go Drag Me to Hell because that ending fucking rocks.
Well, I've never actually seen Drag Me to Hell, so...
Well, that's an easy choice for you then.
Yeah.
2 different types of movie. Motel Hell is fucking hilarious because meat, a man's got to eat.
Hell
but
yeah.
Drag Me to Hell, you need to watch that one because that's probably one we'll have to talk about on this podcast one day after you see it.
Yeah, okay.
Another one, just the last one I'm going to bring up here with a 4K Blu-ray, not Steelbook or whatever, but supposedly it comes with Terror Vision and a CD. I will assume that the CD is the soundtrack, but this is a 90s movie that I love. It totally fits my wheelhouse. Sir, there is a 4K Blu-ray of Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelstiltskin, damn, okay.
Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. That's a tough one to find. I'm assuming the release was low. I think when it had it, because I have it on VHS, I think the company that put it out is a notable one. It was like Republic Pictures or something. Same people that did a lot of B horror movies like Pumpkinhead 2 and, Night of the Scarecrow, stuff like that. I hope I'm right about that. But Rumpelstiltskin actually stars a guy from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So when I found that out, I was like, this is something I have to see. But, dude... I think that's going to be a pretty good segue into things that you and I wanted to talk about on this podcast, because though horror news is everything that's new in the world of horror, there are some other things coming to this podcast that we should probably tell everybody about.
Yeah, so, I mean, when we started this podcast, we kind of had a mission or a goal or whatever. We were really excited about getting in front of new people and having new people check out the show. And so I think we kind of had a strategy where we wanted to talk about some of the more popular movies that were just coming out, some of the new releases and stuff like that. And they were pretty fun to talk about. I feel like at some points, here's confession time. Maybe our heart wasn't quite into it, and and looking at our numbers, which we're kind of getting to the point where numbers is not a big deal to us, but we're just seeing that. Doing these popular movies is not really benefiting us as far as like numbers and things like that, number of streams, and just adding that to the fact that our heart wasn't like super into it as much. We just me and Dave were just talking. I was like, hey, let's kind of refocus for the new year, and we're gonna take this show into a new direction. No, I mean not really a new direction. It's more like an old direction.
Direction? Yeah, I see what you did.
But I think we're just gonna start picking movies to talk about that we just really enjoy, and I think the audience is gonna get more out of that. We can just kind of be more at ease. Our heart's gonna be into it. We're gonna have more of a passion about it, and so we're gonna be talking about movies that we want to talk about, and so it's gonna be a lot of older movies, some classic stuff. And hey, hell, we're gonna even throw in some new movies here and there too, I'm sure. But me and Dave were talking about it, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And I think we're going to kind of streamline the show down a little bit too, because before we were doing the 3 segments, and I think that was just getting to be a lot to try to squeeze into one episode. So I think going forward, me and Dave, we're going to do the horror news. We're still going to do the horror news, but I think we're going to. Because I think there's some good conversations that come out of the horror news, some of the stories that we run across that can kind of encompass some of the new releases and things like that too. But then we're just going to do the focus on the one movie per episode like we have been doing, but it'll just be kind of like the movies that we want to talk about. So that's kind of our new, I guess, format, if you will. It's going to be a little bit more casual. We're probably not going to do like a super deep dive on each movie we talk about. It's just going to be like a fun conversation about the movies that we really enjoy. That's kind of what we've done with shows in the past, and we just realized that is what we really are here for. Like, it's a chance for me to get to hang out with my buddy Dave and talk about horror movies, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, man, and what really did this was one of our Christmas episodes. Like, Christmas, Bloody Christmas was a movie that it felt more of a chore to talk about than an enjoyment. Like, that's not one that I would look over at my buddy and want to have a 30-minute conversation about, and that's why we didn't. And I had people go, wow, it blew me away because you spent more time talking about the movie in the middle. And then in my head, I'm like, yeah, because it's a better movie. And then I was like, why aren't we just talking about movies we like anyway? And that's what got my brain going, and that was when I was confessing to Andy, and he was right there with me. And so I'm glad so, because that's kind of how this friendship was built upon, is our love for, we love classic black and white horror movies, monster movies, all that stuff, but we also very, very much so, I would say 70s, 80s, and 90s is kind of what we encompass. That's our wheelhouse. That's when we got into horror. That's about as far back as we went and watched all the Grindhouse and 80s splatter movies, and then straight to video 90s movies. And, there's some good ones that came out post 2000, but they're definitely, the later it gets, it seems like that stuff's more, you never know what you're going to get. It's hit and miss there and there, where if you're telling me a horror movie came out in 1986 or 87, I'm like, cool, let's do it. Like, it doesn't even matter. And even when they're bad, they're good. And then that just kind of ties into, let's just have fun. And that's where we're at.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited.
That's also why I stopped wearing pants for the podcast. Hey,
I'm glad you're sitting down.
Here. Yeah, that's right.
So I guess in that spirit, we picked out a movie to talk about this episode. So we picked out an 80s slasher for you guys, and this is a fun one. It's called Evil Laugh.
The whole community's afraid of what happened here.
What happened here?
Who cares? I don't believe in ghosts.
You're probably wondering why this place has so many bedrooms. Well, about 10 years ago, it used to be a foster home for children. A nice old man named Wright ran the place. And the old man hired a 18-year-old college student. His name was Martin, to help him with the children.
What were those voices? What voices? Voices from the closet.
My cousin heard voices too, before he was committed.
Martin was very cruel to the kids. And one day, 3 of them accused Martin of molesting them.
Oh, you got a weird laugh. Hey, I think you're making a big mistake.
Well, Martin was finally found innocent. The kids admitted that they lied. But Martin's father hung himself before finding out his son was not guilty. A week later, Martin returned to the house and cut the throats of all the children in their sleep.
You know, Sammy, this really is going to be a great weekend. We're going to have fun.
If you were a girl, wouldn't you want me? If I were a girl, I'd become a lesbian.
Yeah, so Evil Laugh, it's one of those movies that I saw it like many years ago, and I kind of forgot about it. Although the one thing I did remember was one of the death scenes, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. I don't know, Dave, was this the first time you'd seen it?
It's not. It's the first time that I rewatched it, and it was one of those things where it must have been only a couple of months ago where I'll have a day where I'm just surfing through Tubi looking for something to watch, and I fell in love with Tubi because of how many 70s and 80s horror movies are on there for free. And it just had a cover that clearly said, hey, this is a slasher movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. The title is Evil Laugh, so clearly it doesn't. And I read the synopsis, and it's like, oh, look, a whole bunch of college kids are at a house for a weekend, and they get picked off one by one. That's all I need to know. I'm ready to watch this thing, and it delivers. And so this is something I talked to you about a few months ago, and I was shocked that you had seen it, although I shouldn't have been, because when you go down an 80s rabbit hole, you cover a lot of territory. But, when we said, hey, let's just start having fun, this was something that popped in my head, and I suggested it to you, and you were immediately down for it.
Hell yeah. And this movie is kind of cool because it does something interesting. Like, we have movies like Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Scream that talk about the meta, like they kind of get into this like meta thing where they talk about like within the world of the movie, horror movies exist, and so they actually talk about horror movies and common tropes. So, but like Scream wasn't the first movie to do that. Neither was New Nightmare. Apparently, this movie, Evil Laugh, actually was one of the first movies to talk about those horror tropes. That we get a character that's a horror movie nerd, horror movie fanatic. We see him reading Fangoria magazine, and he's even telling other people about, don't do this in a movie, don't do this because you're gonna get killed.
Did that catch you off guard? Because I was totally sidewinded, but I would have thought for sure that New Nightmare was the first meta horror movie to be like self-referential, and then Scream, and then maybe like the Scary Movie stuff that are parodies. But they were serious about this stuff.
Yeah, and so it was cool to see that in this movie. Like you said, I had to pause the movie for a second and think about it. It's like, wow, they're doing this. And it's really cool. And talking about, like, if you have sex, you're going to get killed and stuff like that. And that's...
Yes.
So that was really cool. I really appreciate this movie just for that aspect.
I lived by that rule for like 5 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, for these 5 minutes, I'm not dying.
There you go. So, like, talking about, like... I was kind of looking at the cast and crew on this movie. And did you see who the director was?
I sure did, and I had to look him up, obviously, but when I saw his face, I immediately knew who he was, and then everything made sense.
Yeah, it was Dominick Brascia, and he is Joey. He's Joey from... I'm having a brain fart here. He's Joey from Friday the 13th Part 5, which I thought was really cool. That he, like, went on... After he did that movie, he went on to direct his own horror movie, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, apparently he had a couple of movies to his name, but I think this is the one that always stands out, and probably because it was meta, but I think if you like So Bad It's Good horror movies, this is one you'll find yourself liking, and I love how it's the most typical plot, it has all your eggs in a basket, it checks all the boxes for what an 80s slasher needs to be, but then it just goes for it, and it has some of the most ridiculous scenes in there that I think make me laugh so hard, and it really increases the rewatch value. And I gotta say, I really felt at home with these wacky characters.
Yeah, we even get a house cleaning montage, man. I gotta love this.
That's it. That's my scene, bro.
Yeah.
I never wanted to scrub a brick chimney so bad in my life.
I know, man. You gotta love these 80 movies montages, and they'll do anything, like cleaning a house. It's like, okay. And there was a lot of butt shaking, too, in this montage.
There was. I was getting some serious, like, Breakfast Club vibes. They had to pick off that. Yeah, when people were, like, doing this, the camera's focusing only on the mid-waist where everybody's stepping in motion together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I liked how, like, they showed the Fangoria magazine, and the movie... I think the movie on the cover was...
It is.
It was,
yeah.
It's Friday the 13th Part 5, which is cool.
It was, because I didn't know who the director was until after doing research, and then I immediately was brought back to that. I was like, oh, man. And then throughout this movie, they reference Jason, they reference Michael Myers, they reference Freddy. Like, they're all there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so the horror fanatic, his name is Barney in this one, and I felt like he really reminded me of Shelley from Friday the 13th Part 3,
Very much so.
Yeah, there was some funny moments in this movie. Some odd ones too. Like there was a part where a couple of the guys, they pulled over to the side road. They were on their way to the house. They pulled over because one guy had to take a leak and he starts peeing, and he's like ends up peeing on this couple that are laying on the ground. Like, how do you not see people?
They were 6 feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy's like, "Oh, it's raining." And she's like, "No, he's peeing on us."
Yeah, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, this is
also,
crazy.
Yeah, amidst this is happening, the reason they're pulled over is because they're changing a tire. And Andy, I don't know if you've ever changed a tire, but when did it become custom to have to take your shirt off to change a tire?
Well, hey, man, when you got it, flaunt it, I guess, right?
I guess that's right. It explains why I keep my hoodie on, huh?
But one thing that's funny in the 80s, and always made me scared of driving, I think, was cars broke down all the time in movies in the 80s, Lots of flat tires, lots of just whatever. Cars would always break down. And or they'd always get a flat in like the 80s. So I always made me scared, like thinking I was going to get a flat tire all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you weren't driving in the 80s. It's okay.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But if you learn anything from this movie, when your car breaks down, all you got to do is hit the steering wheel or hit the dash. It'll start right back up.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what the Fonz did. So it's pretty cool, Andy, because, the group of people that we have are medical students, and you have Jerry, who's supposed to be kind of the main character, but you don't see him very much. But, like, the reason for the movie is because his character is buying this house, and he hasn't told everybody yet, but he's going to repurpose it and open it up. And this house used to be like an orphanage or whatever, but there was a tragedy there, and so nobody's been able to buy it since then. Like, the real estate agent can't sell it, but Jerry, he's definitely got that California money. His dad's got money, so he wants to repurpose it. He's inviting all his friends over for the weekend because they're gonna fixer upper, and that's what puts all of our characters together to get picked off one by one. But my question to you is, what do you think of the killer's aesthetic?
Okay, so the killer. Yeah, I was going to get to this eventually, but I think I wasn't really too happy with the killer's look, to be honest. He kind of reminded me of like a luchador wrestler,
Yes! I thought the same thing. Got that ski mask look.
It's like, hey, it's Rey Mysterio. No, just kidding.
That's right. Hey.
But
hey, Rey Mysterio's in a horror movie, by the way.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. It's called WrestleManiac.
Oh, cool. I'm going to check it out.
I'm with you, man. I totally got luchador vibes from this killer, too. But luckily, we don't spend too much time on the face of the killer. We spend more times on the weapons of the killer. And this killer uses quite a bit of different stuff.
Yeah, he does. Anything from, like...
Machete.
A machete to, like, a microwave.
Yeah, and I think that's the kill that you were referencing, right? That's the one that kind of stands out, which is crazy because... I'd seen The Last House on the Left remake, and there's a microwave kill, and I was like, well, that's improbable, and that's the first time I've ever seen that, though. Well, this movie did it again.
Yeah, it did it first, and I saw that remake, too, and I was like, oh, they got that from Evil Laugh, I bet. I wonder, but, yeah, the killer, I don't know, like, it was interesting, like, I feel like I wish we would have seen more of the kills because a lot of the kills were off screen, I feel like, and there wasn't a whole lot of gore.
Yeah. But we do get enough blood to signify what's going on. So it's a funny mix between the off-screen death and then, but you still get some of the blood there. Like, you don't get a lot, but we get what we get because at least it's practical, and that works for me. I'm sure you agree.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I really liked you mentioned that the house had like a dark past to it. And I really liked the local legend that they had created for the house, and just the house.
It's Martin.
Yeah, and the house itself was really cool looking. It was just kind of dark and dreary, and it looked pretty big. Like you could kind of get lost in it. And it kind of reminded me of an Italian horror movie a little bit because they had.
Definitely.
Yeah, because they had parts where like voices were coming out of the vents, like these whispers and stuff, and somebody was talking about something going on.
Even the kills were very giallo because you just see the hands of the killer. I mean, we didn't have black gloves. We had these like blue gloves or whatever it was. But yeah, I was totally getting the vibes of that type of house. And but did you find it as funny as like how excited everybody was? Like, we have a couple that blew off going to like a country club for the weekend or whatever, and they're like, no, it's okay. You're going to love this place. It's got a pool. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and they get there, they find out they have to do some housework. So,
yeah, what's that shit all about? But hey, they have a plan. At midnight, they're going skinny dipping.
Yeah,
that plan doesn't happen, folks. No. Sorry to let you know. But Andy, you know what?
What's that?
I was told if you rub yourself, it will turn her on.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Because, one of the guys thought it'd be a funny joke to tell the other one that
I think his name was Mark or something. Mark like Armstrong.
Yeah,
he's the jock.
Yeah, so the other guy was kind of into one of the girls, but he wasn't sure if she was really into him or he thought that she was with one of the other guys. And so Mark tells this guy, "Hey, just start rubbing yourself, and then she'll like that'll totally turn her on." And so he starts doing that, but she thinks that he has some kind of like rash or something. And so she's like,
"Well,
yeah, go ahead."
I was just loud because he knew what he was doing. Mark was playing this joke on Johnny. Johnny's the guy who has a crush on her and is totally gonna believe everything he hears. So he starts rubbing himself. But the reason this works is because Mark knows that the girl he told this to, who is Connie, she's the final girl of the movie. She specializes in like what is it, cosmetics and like skincare and skin rashes and everything like that. So she immediately thinks that something's wrong with them and that Johnny's got a rash. And so she's like, oh, we should go up to my room. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, he thinks something else totally different's gonna happen, and she's like, I got something for you. He's like, all right, and
yeah, dude. And she's like, he's like, I really never thought this was going to happen. And she's like, well, we're friends, aren't we? And he's like, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know about your friends, Andy, but that's not how that works. No. I don't care if you got a skin rash or not.
Yeah. Funny thing about the final girl, in the end scene, she's taking a shower and we see some nudity, but it's actually a body double in that scene. Did you know that?
I did, because I read the same thing you did. This movie does not cheap you out if you're looking for gratuitous nudity in your movie. You did get some at the end, but it's not our final girl. Andy, it's a stand-in, but go ahead and drop that nugget. What is interesting about our final girl?
So after this, she goes on to be a porn actress.
What the hell is that all about?
Yeah, so she was too shy to show off in this movie, but she's not later on, so... Yeah.
I bet she lived to regret that.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably not. You got all, I assume she, in the porn industry, they have their own, like, Academy Awards and everything. So that's cool if you won all your awards for the porn movies you did, but you'll have to live with the fact that you didn't win shit for Evil Laugh.
Yeah.
Boom, mic drop. Except our hearts, because I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I have a really good time watching this movie, bro. And I know we talked about how, like, the kills are kind of but there's some pretty unique kills in this movie. Like, we talk about Mark. Mark gets an axe to the face. Like, that's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
But, dude, that scene with Mark and, what was her, Tina, when they're going to have sex on the bed, what's with the man ass grabbing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like,
he's like, oh, I thought it was Tina. Like, no, you did not.
Yeah.
There is no way that Tina's got that muscular ass that Mark's got.
I thought it was cool. So another cool thing about this scene,
Andy thought it was cool.
besides the man ass. So Tina, she takes off her shirt and we get the obligatory tit shot. She says, "See anything you like?"
Dude, Halloween,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep, loved it.
So that was cool.
That's what I was saying, that it's all over the place for this movie. But yeah, we didn't love it as much as Mark loves it. But dude, that's so funny. He like lays down and he puts his hands behind his head and he's got that, oh yeah, this is going down. And so yeah, she's going down because she pulls his pants off. And of course, at this time period, it's either going to be tidy whities or some sort of man thong. And so she pulls it down. She's like, ooh, it's like I'm unwrapping a present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, this dialogue is great.
Yeah, it was really cheesy.
But you know what? I got to say, out of all the kills, Tina probably got the lamest kill. She just gets strangled, like choked out.
Oh, yeah. That's right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, it's been a little bit since I've seen this movie, so some of the things have kind of left
I got you,
my
bro.
brain.
Oh, I've watched this thing twice in the last
okay.
couple weeks, and so
Cool.
that's kind of how much I liked it. But one thing that was cool, check this out. So you know how Johnny got his head nuked in the microwave,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Did you pick up on the irony of it? He was an X-ray technician, so think about it, radioactivity.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right? Yeah, so clearly that's meta in itself, right?
That's right, yeah. So
Let's see here. We got the real. What'd you think of the real estate agent? Would you have bought a house from Roger Burns in his comb over?
yeah, he was a little shady. I don't know. He seemed like he had something going on there, which, yeah.
Well, yeah, he's trying to sell this murder house.
Yeah.
And the backstory of it, Andy, is there was it was an orphanage, and there was a guy named Martin there. Apparently, he was like 18 years old, and this is so, dude, I don't get this shit, but like some of the kids were like, he molested us, and then of course that shit went to court, and then it was proven that he didn't do it. But Martin's dad had killed himself because he couldn't live with the fact that his son was like a pedophile or whatever. But of course Martin was innocent, but this made Martin go crazy, so he came back and like killed everybody and like burned the house down or what. Clearly he didn't burn it down, but did something to it that killed all these kids. And so that's a pretty fucked up backstory. I was like, I did not expect the movie to kind of go there.
Right.
You know, like clearly there's going to be something traumatic, but I was just like, oh gosh, you went a whole nother place.
Well, and then the friends are there to clean up the house and turn it into another orphanage, right? So
Yeah.
so that's not going to trigger some. So I was wondering with the reveal of the killer, like, what direction are they going to go? Are they going to say it's Martin actually came back, or is it going
Right. I think that's what we're led to believe.
Yeah, and or is it going to be one of the friends? And so yeah, so what do you think about the killer reveal? Were you surprised by it?
I was. I didn't expect what we got, and I know we're probably going to reveal it soon, so I'll dance around it until you do. But I had my understanding that it was going to be Martin. Like, the movie was leaning heavy on it. It was selling me on it. You know, we see everybody who gets killed, so obviously who's left? And then when it's revealed who it is, I had to stop for a minute and go, wait, I think I've seen this person before, but it didn't click until they started to kind of like, okay, killer's now revealing their plan. And then I was like, that's okay in my book. I don't hate that.
Yeah, I was surprised too, because like you said, the character is not somebody that we see a whole lot. We see him in a couple of scenes. And so yeah, when the reveal happens, yeah, you're thinking, oh, it's got to be actually Martin, because most of the friends have been killed.
Who else could it be?
Or whatever. But so I'll just say, it turns out to be the real estate's wife, who we only see in a couple of scenes before this, and she kind of reminds me of Billy from Creep Show,
Oh wow!
Played by oh crap, what's her name?
Adrienne
Barbeau. Yes, thank you.
There you go. I got your back,
Yeah.
bro.
So she kind of reminds me of that kind of character. She kind of sits at home and like complains to her husband when he comes home from work. It's like, why don't you ever do anything good and stuff like
Oh, dude, that scene is hilarious. By the
Yeah.
way, So, the first time this is like the second time we've seen her, but this is the first time we're seeing their pillow talk. And he crawls in bed and he's trying to make love to his wife, and she ain't having it. She's like smoking a cigarette, doing her own thing, and he's like, "Snookums, it's been 2 weeks and I'm horny." and then I don't know what it is, but she's like, "Nah." And so he's like, "Damn it, a man has needs, and if you don't provide them, I'm just gonna take them." And then she calls his man card. She's like, "Huh, you?" And then she laughs it off, and he's like, "That's it." But then the phone rings. But yeah, turn full circle. Come to find out, a mom has needs too, Andy, and that's rectifying the death of her son, because I guess Martin got killed.
Yeah, because I think apparently he killed himself.
Oh, that's probably
But
right. Oh, damn.
I don't think they ever found the body, though. I think that was kind of the mystery behind it. So
a little bit of Friday the 13th rip, probably.
Exactly, yeah. We get another Friday the 13th kind of riff there. So yeah, and but it makes for a cool little 80s horror slasher, a whodunit. I like it.
It does, and I think the reason, honest to truth, that it didn't because I don't care who the killer is, as long as it makes sense, and I can really appreciate it if it's a good story. And with this one, the story is what it needed to be an 80s slasher. But I won't reveal something, but I'll tell you, I've seen a certain horror movie. It's a modern horror movie. When the killer is revealed to be a certain person, I'm like, there's no way in the world that person was the killer and could have lifted that other person in the air, because let's say they don't have the muscle capacity. They don't, there's just certain things that I have to suspend disbelief and yada yada. So in this, the killer didn't do anything that I was like, I could totally see this killer doing all of that.
Yeah.
And so it was believable enough.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, there are reveals, and I think I know the movie you're talking about, where one particular reveal, you're like, that person could not have been the killer in that scene. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so Evil Laugh, I mean, it's a fun movie. I would say, people have, some time to kill. It's on Tubi.
Also on Plex.
Okay, yeah.
So anywhere it's got ads, but you want to watch it for free, and it's only an hour and a half. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, if you really want to get the 80s vibe and slasher and all, and the meta, kind of the meta thing going on, yeah, this is a cool movie.
Yeah, and it definitely has that, early 90s. You went to the video store and you picked up 5 slashers on VHS. This is one that you would have grabbed because the cover sells, and then when you watch it, it's just part of the experience, man. It's definitely one to throw on with friends, or if you just kicking back by yourself, you can still enjoy it. And then, Andy, I think that's going to get us into a couple other things that we forgot to bring up for horror news. And now that you and I are kind of strictly reviewing movies we already know we love, I don't think we have to rate them anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Because otherwise we're going to spend every episode being like 4 or 5.
Yeah, we're just take it. If we're talking, well, for the most part, if we're talking about a movie, we probably loved it. So,
yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm never going to be like, hey, Andy, this movie came out, we should do it on the podcast. It's going to be like, have you seen this? Do you like it? Cool. Would you want to talk about it? And so if it's going to show up here, you can go ahead and assume we love it. And I think if we like it, then the listeners are going to like it too, because we're not shitting on the movie or holding it in, how much we like or dislike something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, I did have an idea that I told you about that I want to go ahead and let listeners know. So even though we're not going to be rating every episode, I thought it would be really cool that if we do kind of like a Screaming Skull anniversary show. And so obviously it would only be once a year, but when we come up on our 1 year anniversary in October, we should do an anniversary episode where we do awards for like the best horror movie we talked about, maybe the best final girl, maybe the best kill, like certain stuff like that. And so if you do like getting Andy and Mai's opinion on certain things, and it was fun to hear where we rate stuff, even though that's going away on a small scale, it's going to be much more enjoyable on the bigger scale of things for the anniversary episode, because that's going to be really fun. And with the specialized things, we can definitely get different opinions on that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or do you want to let these listeners go?
No, I think I'm good, man. Had a lot of fun talking about Evil Laugh.
Yeah, and you can rest assured we're going to bring more guests on in the future and probably talk about some more horror movies from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and maybe today. I feel like one of those fucking mixed radio stations.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, until next time, I'm Phantom Dark Dave.
And I'm Abnormal Andy.
And you've been listening to the Screaming Skull Podcast.